just gonna do a little stream here on crypto because we are seeing a bounce of the $60,000 level. So that's a good sign. We're gonna look at where we stand in the cycle. Could we have bottomed already? What does the 4-year cycle say? How I think the rest of the years could go on for stocks. Also interesting stats we have discussed in the Panic Drop chat already. So yeah, thanks for joining. Who else is here? Stuart, Simon, thanks for joining. Um, I'm gonna put on the technical analysis chart, which I usually cover each Thursday for paid subscribers. So we basically said that the cycle is going to continue its downtrend. And we were saying the level to break was basically around 85K, maybe even 90K before we could say the cycle has reversed into a bull market again. Now, we went as high as $83,000 and then price got rejected. And suddenly, in the last few days, we went from $72,000 to all the way to $60,000. So, real capitulation in the short term, this does look a little bit overstretched. So, in the short term, we can expect a bounce. Of course, 60K was where I had another buy level for my allocation in eToro. So currently I should have around 8% crypto now. And I still have some cash to add when we test $55,000. And I will also have more cash if we go lower to $44,000. So I'm prepared to be on the water for a few months because I know eventually a Bitcoin is going to reverse back in an uptrend. The sentiment will shift. Right now, it's very bearish. We have news about Michael Saylor selling some Bitcoin after years pushing that he would never sell Bitcoin. So this is a new bearish narrative, which can drag some time, but eventually these things turn and we will see Bitcoin reverse again. And then we will have another some sort of euphoria in crypto, especially Bitcoin. And so that's why I want to make sure I have enough allocation in Bitcoin as we drop lower. Another interesting um, technical analysis view is that we now have taken out the low from February in the beginning of the year here. So what we can do is put the line here like that. You can see the takeout. Also, if we go on the weekly chart, there is the 200 moving average, which is being tested right now. So the 200 weekly moving average, the red line is being tested right now. And most traders see this as a bounce opportunity. So again, in the short term, this could lead to a bounce for crypto. And yeah, as I said, I was buying at 60K. So I will see how this trend goes. I'm not really trading altcoins because I I think the bear phase could drag on. Although we're seeing a lot of um, good altcoins, strong altcoins. We have Hype, for example, one of the coins I've been covering for many weeks, and it made all-time highs. Well, while Bitcoin actually um, dragged lower, so pretty impressive. Now it's testing the level I was watching again around $58. So it's a decent spot to at least try for a bounce. In my opinion, I'm not going to buy and hold Hype, but rather you can trade it where you put a stop loss right below support and then a take profit where you think it might be headed, or at least take a risk reward of around 3 to 1. So, Hype, one of the stronger altcoins, right at support. If it breaks, the $50 level might be a level for more defensive traders instead of playing here. But for now, you can see it's testing this level. So let's see how this goes. If we look at the dominance, um, it had a big drop. So this doesn't mean money is going in altcoins per se. It means money is flowing out of Bitcoin, and this could be into stable coins because stable coins here are seen as um, altcoins as well. So the money is flowing into dollars and not really into altcoins. We haven't seen really any altcoins doing really well. Ethereum is also um, breaking down, testing some support here that I've been discussed in the top altcoin playbook Thursday. So this chart was featured for free subscribers even. So they could have seen the level I was watching here at $1,550 getting tested. So traders who are bullish on Ethereum, um, yeah, can can try it out. Now, I personally don't like to trade an altcoin when it's below the 200 moving average. I would see the 200 moving average is basically flat. Now that's on the weekly. Let me see on the daily. You can see it's sloping down. So maybe this is just gonna bounce, hit that hopefully 2000 level, and then could get rejected again. But as a trader, you you put your stop loss. If you enter a trade, you put your stop loss here right below support, um, and then you make sure you have a decent risk reward for a trade setup. So Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and this was another level on the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart I was watching getting rejected, and now hitting the next support here. So normally we should see some kind of outperformance again by Ethereum if we expect a bounce here. So it's a play for those who are trading Ethereum versus Bitcoin. But for now, the trend still shows down. So we'll see how um, price will react here. Let me see if you guys joined more. 80, Stuart, Chris, thanks for joining, guys. And another section we always cover is the 4-year cycle, of course. So it has been playing out as we were expecting. So you will see every 4-year cycle has a 3-year bull phase and a 2-year and a 1-year bear phase. and right now we're in this 1 year bear phase. Now you should understand 4 year cycles are never the same. Um, for now, we always had a top in Q4 of the last, let's say, 4 year cycle year. Um, here, here, sorry, the third 4 year cycle year. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then the last year is the bear phase. So 3 times already, I think even 4 times here, we had a top in the third year of the 4 year cycle. Now, this is not something we should expect to happen all the time. I mean, a top in a 4 year cycle can also happen in the beginning of the 4 year cycle. So something like this, and then it would be called a um, left translated 4 year cycle. So this is a right translated 4 year cycle because the high came after the half of the 4 year. So if this is the half of the 4 year, the top came in the right part of the 4 year cycle. This is the left part of the 4 year cycle. So it would be something like this, where you have the half here of the 4 year and the top somewhere in, yeah, the left part of the 4 year cycle. It's something that we never know in advance, but we should always take in our head in account that it can happen. Also, the low for now has always been around Q4 of the fourth year of the 4 year cycle. So 1 year after the top is usually Q4. So the top in uh, this cycle was in October 2025, sorry. And that means the bottom, as we look at previous cycles, is expected somewhere in Q4 of 2026 for this cycle. Now, we are closing in on that time frame. So it would be a little bit later here. So we still have a few months left. And let me see. Yeah, October here. Yeah, is that time frame where we should expect at least a bottom to happen. Now, we are in a window already of where the bottom may form. So we should also consider that the bottom may form early in the bear phase of the 4 year cycle. So that's why I already bought in the last couple of weeks, just because we don't know whether it's gonna drag on in Q4 lower and lower, because a lot of people now are expecting yeah, the price to bottom somewhere here. So it's possible the price is already bottoming sooner. So we are in a time frame where the Bitcoin bear cycle could be ending. If we draw a box of how it looks like, I mean, we could go as low as 30K even, like this. Anything is possible. So the bottom could be here, or it could be dragging lower, of course. Um, so make sure you have cash ready. I'm already buying. So if I have 8% allocation now, I usually have around 20% allocation into crypto as the market bottom. So that means I could add another, let's say, 8% Bitcoin as it drops further. of as it goes sideways until the end of the year. And then when we get past this point, I will probably just start looking at altcoins, maybe all opportunities, strong altcoins, the top of the list, that I yeah that I like to hold in my portfolio for the next bull market. And then the plan is simply, yeah, to one, hold some core position into crypto, which you don't touch. So you basically just buy in the beginning of the start of the bull market, or you buy on the way down, and you have this allocation, and you just want to ride the ups and downs until we are past the bull market. When you see things break down, you can take profits, or when things are getting too oversold, you take some profits. That's one. And then second, you can still take some minor trades into Bitcoin as you see things break out or break down. Um, that's that's something you can decide on your own. How I'm doing it is I'm now accumulating a core position into Bitcoin. Let's say I want to have 15 to 20% Bitcoin in my portfolio. And then as this allocation is complete and we enter the ending phase of the bull market, I will also look at which altcoins I think are good picks and strong enough to hold in the portfolio as well. One would be hopefully Ethereum, and the other one Hype. I know a lot of people like Solana. I did take the Solana trade the previous cycle with the meme coins Sage. So that was a good trade. But we never know what narrative will come. So it's something we'll have to check and scan on a weekly basis, which I do, and try to cover every week. So that's it basically. Um, Leven, thanks for joining. Chris, Vasco. Um, I did want to mention like things I cover in the chat for paid subscribers. It is mainly information about how the stock market is doing. Um, can you see this? I'm not sure. So this is a chart basically showing where are the biggest returns made during the stock market. So during the year for a stock market. And the biggest returns are actually going from the midterm year November to the pre-election year April, and is the phase where we are going next. So right now we're June. So in November, where usually there is some kind of volatile bottom, as we expect for crypto and maybe stocks as well. So make sure you have cash for the time frame. But buying at that level is 100% bullish for stocks into April the next year. So that's what I've been saying for weeks and months now. You have to make sure you have some cash for that Q4 time frame for one crypto, but also stocks, because when stocks go down, it's usually also crypto that goes down. So make sure you are accumulating some cash on the side that you can just deposit on your broker when there is some kind of big correction in that time frame. So that's what I'm also preparing my portfolio for. Okay, I think you guys can see it, right? Mm, I mentioned that we were buying now software stocks. I mentioned this on basically every live stream I've been on, that I'm very bullish on now. A little bit overextended here in the short term, But I do think this looks like a higher high, and now will form a higher low and hopefully continue the trend. If it drops lower, and we never know if it's gonna drop lower, I will buy more, of course. So these are the levels where I wanna buy more. So I have cash ready to buy more. Now it's actually very popular on X. So um, the dips are getting bought very, very quickly. Um, we'll see how June ends. Basically, this chart just shows you that whenever April and May gain over 4%, you have a high probability of June also being positive. So June, sorry, let's look at the stock market on a monthly. So we have the month of April was 10% and the month of May was 5%. It's asking to have May and April gain over 4%. So check, check. And that means the month of June could be, is more likely to be positive. Now, of course, this trend can break, um, but the month closed at 7,580. So based on this data, the market is now down around 3%. That means if you think the market is going to follow this data and become positive for June, then this is a buying opportunity. And that's what I'm doing. I'm buying my favorite stocks um, just because it's still a buy the dip market. So that's what I'm doing for my stocks. Mm, there's just basic information. Most people think that when stocks are at all-time highs, they need to take profit because there could be a correction happening. But most of the time, especially 1 year later, there's a 99% probability the market will be higher. So markets at all-time highs are not a reason to sell; they're a reason to buy. Mm, this was posted before the big correction we had on Friday. So a lot of short interest, meaning a lot of people betting against the market. This in the short term can cause some kind of squeeze as we were getting. So it's more visible on the daily chart how the market was getting squeezed for 9 weeks in a row, and then boom, in a few sessions, it's already down 3%. Something I mentioned was you have specific algo um, trading bots looking for the market to make a 20% gain like this. We had a 20% gain, and algo bots who are holding positions, they they suddenly sell all their assets based on hitting that 20% gain. And I was saying to the people in the chat, expect a correction for the Nasdaq 2 to 3% down, S&P 1 to 2% and a half down. So we indeed had a how much was it? 2.6% down for the S&P, and for the Nasdaq we had a 4.77% down. But for me, I was I was buying the Nasdaq. I was buying other stocks that I like just because earnings are still going up, and now you're getting a discount as prices are going down. So it's a win scenario in my opinion. But you have to buy the right stocks, of course. If we look at how it compares with the .com burst, we still see there is some room left. So this compares um, today's stock market cycle with the one from the 90s, where there was a big run up and then correction later. So you can see there is a lot of volatility, just like we are seeing in the stock market. So that's something we should be expecting, but there is more room to the upside if we compare it with the one from in the 90s. So again, comes down to buy the opportunity um, and prevent to sell your assets. Yeah, to the whales, to the smart money, because they are buying. So that's it for what I wanted to cover. Not sure how long I've been going on. 20 minutes. That's clean. Um, we have another question from Leland. I'm also allocated into Bitcoin and altcoins. So if I understand it correctly, you are not yet allocated on strong altcoins. No, I did held Ethereum for a while because there was a bullish sign in the short term, but that got broken, and then I moved out of Ethereum and yeah, bought more Bitcoin. I'm not sure if I shared the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. Maybe we can check it again. So for Ethereum, so it broke an important level. Um, of course, I could be buying here for Ethereum again at 1,550. Um, but looking at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, I don't know. This seems like a downtrend that I want to see reversed first. I think we will see a small bounce, but if I'm gonna add Ethereum to my portfolio, I wanna have an allocation more for the long term. Um, maybe I should at least have a small allocation here because it does seem like it's ready to bounce from this level and also from this level. So you're making me doubt a little bit about what to do here. What I prefer to see is when a swing low is getting taken out. So right here we have this swing low. So that's around 1,365. Let's say Ethereum takes out this low, but then managed to close back above it with a weekly chart, a weekly bullish candle. That's something I would uh, I would like to see and maybe take a trade on. I'm just checking if we're seeing a test of some moving average in the short term or long term. We have the 50. No, not yet. 150 doesn't exist. So yeah, I want to add Ethereum, but it's always so disappointing. I think most of you understand, like, if you've been holding Ethereum even um since here 2021, it's at the same price basically. So disappointing price action. I think it has to do with all the L2 blockchains added on top of Ethereum. So we have Matic, Arbitrum, all these L2, so layer 2 blockchains that are basically on top of Ethereum. The money is not focused on Ethereum, but spreading into all of these smaller altcoins. So it's harder to push the Ethereum price up. But I mean, eventually this will reverse because I do think the fundamentals are strong for Ethereum since we have a lot of brokers now tokenizing stocks on the Ethereum blockchain. We have eToro doing it, and they are very bullish on Ethereum. So I would say, um, as a long term, like 15 years time frame, it's okay to hold Ethereum. You just have to know, in the short term, yeah, it could drop lower, maybe take out this swing low as well at around 900. So anything is possible. I am more convinced that Bitcoin will make new all-time highs sooner than Ethereum. But I do think eventually we will see some kind of strong push higher by Ethereum as well. So I'm always gonna watch the price, see where I can allocate. But for now, Bitcoin remains like the solid pick to have in a portfolio, especially in the last phase of the bear market. Now, you were asking, do I hold other altcoins? No, I trade them. Um, I usually look at my own indicator, which is the Bitcoin Market Compass indicator. And whenever the background is green, I'm more in a holding pattern. So weekly, yeah. So you can see when the trend flips green here, that's usually when the price goes above the 50-week moving average, and that's the time to be a little bit more bullish on altcoins, where you can say, okay, I'm gonna buy and use a trailing stop to follow the trend. And it's still a picking market because, as you know, every day around 60,000 tokens are created in the crypto market. So it's impossible that we have an altcoin season with all tokens going up. So I scan every week for the strongest one and I try to cover them. There's so many, so of course I'm gonna miss some, but if there's strong price action, I will try to cover them in the weekly reports. And that's what I've been doing in this phase as well, where we had Hype doing really well, Tron doing really well. Um, we've been covering recently Near a little bit. Doesn't look like much, but these are like smaller trades that can become bigger trades as the background becomes green. I will get more convicted into um, playing these altcoins more aggressively. So, especially if, let's say, we are going to end the bear phase at the end of the year with the last big drop, then again, we will see a lot of the altcoins getting wrecked. We have XRP. Where is it? XRP here. The moment it dropped below $2, I said this is going to 90 cents. We're not there yet, so there's still uh, the possibility that XRP has another 20-30% drop down. So all these altcoins, they can continue down 20-30%. Um, and yeah, at this phase, it's not the time to be aggressive. You want to have the trend with you. And right now, the trend is still down. So that's why I uh, I mainly hold Bitcoin in my portfolio. And to be honest, like it was the way to go because um, most of the altcoins have been doing badly, except for a few that we cover in the altcoin playbook. So, hope that answers your question. Um, So, Levan, you're saying shadow around the bubble at the moment. Well, we are in a semiconductor bubble. That's what I can say, but not in a broader stock market bubble. So, semiconductor sector SMH is going parabolic. I wouldn't really buy the semiconductor sector unless it gets oversold on like different metrics, like for example, RSI. It's still in the upper level. You can see when it was in the lower boundary level, that was basically at the bottom of the April dump. Similar, it was near the bottom of the um, bear market here. We had in 2024 some smaller corrections. If I remember, yeah, this was 2025, big opportunity. And then this year, there was a drop, but not as low. Maybe on the daily, there was some oversold level. Uh, so where was it here? Yeah, this was pretty decent for a buy the dip opportunity, not extremely low. The momentum was still strong, but let's say you want to hold some semiconductors, then I would personally wait for it to get a little bit deeper. Right now, it's around 10%. Yeah, I mean, not saying it's gonna happen, but if we get like a 20 to 30% correction in semiconductors, that's maybe a better place to allocate in the sector again, because the semiconductor sector is 30% of the Nasdaq, or even 30% of the S&P, I would say. So it's a big allocation to have in the stock market. So it's impacting the S&P a lot. Um, so yeah, if you hold the S&P, you do hold a lot of semiconductors already. But if you want to go hard on semiconductors, wait for a deeper correction. Now this could just rally on, um, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I still hold my Nvidia, and Nvidia, it's not going crazy like AMD, but it's also um yeah, still outperforming the stock market, the S&P. So AM Nvidia is like my biggest allocation in my portfolio, and anything below 220, um I would buy here. Here. If it goes lower, I would buy. Nvidia remains the leader of these semiconductors. Uh, I am telling to hold and buy more when it goes lower. Yes, me too. I am looking at the tokenization narrative. Yes, me too. I mean, Ondo um, is the more risky bet. If you like, for example, I'm not gonna buy Ondo if I see the trend is still down. But for Ethereum, I would buy Ethereum if it's still in a downtrend, because I know Ethereum is more likely to go up. We look at Ondo, um, how the chart has been doing. I mean, it's basically at the lows. This was kind of like a nice bounce here. So maybe it has bottomed, but yeah, you risk the risk is that it's just gonna spike and then move down. So you have to know with altcoins, the moves usually take 6 to 8 weeks. You have to take some profits as the price is going up. For example, if it's having a new push, it's gonna test some resistance at let's say 60 cents. Take some of the table, take your profit and run. Because I mean, Link is one of those coins everyone knows. It's doing all these big spikes, a few weeks, and then boom, it's all gone. Big spike, boom, big bull face, and then boom, all gone. So you have to at least take some profits when things get a little bit heated, because in the altcoin market, the rotation is going really fast. When you see something break, get out. And what's going on with ADA? What's going on with ADA? To be fair, I'm not ADA fan, not a Cardano fan. Whoa. Last time I covered it was at 60 cents. Now it's at 16 cents. New lows since 2020. Yeah. So not that exciting for ADA. So this is why you wanna exit an altcoin position when things break. I probably sold my trade when it broke 60 cents. Now you could say, it can recover, you never know. Well, we're now sitting at 16 cents. So in this market, you still have to um, protect your capital at all costs. And then when you see a trend reversal, it's always possible that we get a move back on, and then there is a new uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, breaking resistance levels and making a strong trend. Then you can enter. But in altcoins, I wouldn't enter when it's in a bear market, in a downtrend. For example, I really like Tau, but it's not proving that it's in a bull market. It's still trading um, below the 200 moving average. The moving average is sloping down. It's now breaking below all these support levels. So I'm gonna wait at least for it to get back above this support level and then get above the 200 moving average. Maybe wait for the 200 moving average to start sloping up again before entering, because yeah, I have some conviction in Tau because it's decentralized AI. I think uh, this this could really be a strong pick, but I still want to wait before buying, um, just because the trend is your friend, and right now it's going down. So yeah, any altcoin you have in your portfolio, you basically have to check, is it in an uptrend or in a downtrend? And it's if it's in a downtrend, it can always go lower. Solana, we were watching the 81 level um, to hold. Um, Now it broke down and it's at the next support level in just a few days. Now it's probably gonna bounce here in this range for the next couple of weeks. If Bitcoin is not doing much, but I would definitely buy some Solana if it's starting to break levels again and getting above the 200 moving average. I mean, here you can see was trading below it, was trying to get above, was here getting above, testing this 200 moving average, and getting above resistance level. I remember buying. So if I zoom in a little bit, I remember buying when there was some kind of break above resistance, and then the trend was up with the 200 moving average sloping up again, and then we took a position in the eToro portfolio, and we basically were able to ride it up, and of course never holding until the top, but scaling out and scaling back in, and that's how I trade altcoins. You It's okay to miss the bottom and the absolute top, but you want to have at least um, upside from the move within. It's what we call the cake of the pie. So you want to ride the the bull phase when you're certain the trend is reversing up. And right now, the trend is still not showing signs of a reversal for Solana, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what Bitcoin does. Same for Bitcoin. Um, the trend is still down. The only thing with Bitcoin is I am 100% certain that eventually, maybe it's in a few months, maybe it's in a few years, but eventually it will make new highs again. So it will make new highs again. We have massive adoption. We have a lot of um, fundamentals getting better. So it will make new highs again, and that's what I'm preparing my portfolio for, even though the trend is still down. Looking at the 4-year cycle, looking at the fundamentals, um, I know I want to have a decent chunk of um, Bitcoin in my portfolio. But for the rest, it will be small positions, and it will be managed to limit the downside of the altcoin market, of course. Okay, so we have Leven now saying that's what I'm trying with Ondo. Yes, get profits and get out. That's it. That's the lesson of today. Get in, get out. The trend is still down, so take the money if you can. Okay, guys. Jason, Richard, Leven, 80. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see each other next time. Cheers.